and just point at one. Hey all, how you doing? Glad you could all make it tonight. Got a couple of good talkers lined up. You all know this shifty bloke, Cromo, dirty filthy stink boater, and the real fisherman over here, Andrew, so that's good. But just got to get off with a light-hearted sort of little joke. Whether it's clean or dirty, I don't know, but you can work out yourself. But this guy is working in a pet shop. And anyway, he's slaving away. He's getting ready to pack up the night, and this little girl comes in, about 9 years old, little pigtails, ribbons in her hair. She comes in and goes, "Oh, how cute she is." And she goes, "Hello, mister." And he goes, "Hello, darling, what would you like?" She goes, "Do you have any bunny rabbits?" And he goes, "Oh, how cute is she?" Oh, God. And he goes, "Would you like a little brown one with the long fluffy ears, or a black one with a little pink nose, or maybe a little white one with little paws like this?" And she looks up at him and goes, "I don't think my python gives a fuck." Anyway, so without further ado,
that's a great joke.
Here's Cromo. You can take it from there.
Now that you've backed me into a corner.
Now I'll back you in the corner, away you go.
Keep your python to yourself. Alright, look guys, thanks for coming out. Mostly thanks for coming out and supporting Adam at the shop out here. Great shop. I do buy a lot of my gear through Adam. You know, I do get help from sponsors, but there is always something that you need. And if ever I've got to say to someone, you know, go to a shop, go to this shop, I send them to Adam because I know that he sorts me out every time. He makes sure that the product gets sent to him straight away. So, you know, it's always the best to support the little guys, and you know, you're a top bloke, and I love coming to your shop. So yeah, thanks for having us out here, mate. Cheers. I thought I've done a few talks. I haven't done a talk for a long time actually. I haven't done a talk for probably about 1.5 years at least. And I'd always sort of tried to, you know, work out how to do a talk and, you know, formalise it and make it as, you know, informative for you guys as possible. And I think I actually did the opposite by trying to do that. I overthought it a bit. So I thought I'd try and keep it pretty blasé tonight, if that makes sense. I'm pretty much just going to do a Q&A. So I'm going to go around all you guys. You guys have all got the questions. You know what you want to know. You know what you want to learn. Everybody's got techniques, and, you know, it doesn't matter. These guys at the top of the field, they're still doing techniques that you guys are doing as well. It's just that they know to do it 15 times more than you do. Or there might just be another way of coming in and approaching another spot. You guys probably all fish that spot too, but there's just little ways that they might be able to do it a little bit better because they've got more, probably a little bit more, what's the word for it? Just solid thought on knowing that it works. So, look, I know you guys are going to want to know about crabs. I know you guys are going to want to know about gyros. I know you're going to want to know, you know, what's the best rod you can use. What's the, you know. I'm happy to tell you guys everything, but you got to understand, realistically, it's a hard thing. Like, I can tell you guys what to go and do, but you can go out on the river tomorrow and do exactly what I've told you. There might be one little thing that you've done a touch different to what I've told you, and you'll go, "Oh, that doesn't really work," or "That doesn't work." It's not about that. It's what you can get from a talk night are the tiny little things that pop up. It might even be from me. It might be a question from somebody else, and they'll throw a question at me, and, you know, that might be the one thing that you learn from it, because I don't know, it might just be something very, very, very different. So I think probably just start off with a couple of questions. If anyone's got a question, throw a question up, and we'll see where it rolls on from there. Yeah, right. I was at your last talk, and one thing you did emphasise was time. Time in the water is just like pretty much the key aspect to you know, improving your fishing.
Yep.
Time's limited for a lot of us as well, so, you know,
how do you maximise the little time that you have?
Exactly. So, you know, I guess looking at those windows of, you know, tidal changes, and, you know, if I've got that, you know, Saturday morning, you know, but the tide doesn't work.
So one very big thing that I had always focused on, okay, so I live a long way away from the water. I grew up in Campbelltown. I never really had a choice of picking out tide, picking out moon phase, picking out any of that. I was going fishing on the weekend.
Yeah.
So deal with it.
And that's one big thing I think tournaments teaches you too. You don't get a choice. You then have to adapt to that. So I tend to find that guys that live a lot closer to the water systems these days actually suffer because they do tend to go and go, oh, well, I'm not going to go fish until that tide's running and I'll go at this time. They don't tend to go and adapt. They'll just finalise they're going to go on that day, that time, and yeah, it'll be great. But how then do you go later on? If you're going to go fishing and you're not, it's a tournament. If that's mainly, hands up, how do you guys do in tournaments? Like, is that why you're here? You're sort of interested in the tournaments and you want to learn so that you can propel yourselves? So that's probably one of the biggest things, is don't get stuck on just going fishing when it suits you or when you think it's going to be the best period. You've got to try and adapt. You've got to try and learn to,
fish any time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And don't get caught up on, waiting for that perfect time.
As I say, like, I don't. It's just the time I get, the best time to fish is when I can.
Yeah.
So I get out there anyway, but I find I get out there and, I struggle to get that game plan because I might be out there for 2 hours and I'm like, right, I know 100 spots, but out of those 100 spots, I'm not spending enough time fishing throughout
That's probably why it is very important to keep yourself a diary.
Yeah.
And keep a list. Like these days, diaries are so simple. I keep my stuff on my phone. I've got a Dropbox.
Yeah.
Every time I go out, I'll take photos. I'll take a photo of sea breeze. So the night before I go out, I'll take a photo of the sea breeze. So it tells me what my moon phase is, what my tide is, what the wind is doing on that day, and I just log it. And I'll log it. I'll take as many photos as I can, and I'll just log those photos as well. So I catch a fish on, I'm starting to catch them on one particular lure. I'll take a photo of that and I'll log it.
Yeah.
Then when I know I'm going out, I spend a lot of time on my phone. It's not social media, it's actually for that sort of stuff. My wife kills up because she thinks I'm just on Facebook. I'm not even on Facebook at the moment. I'm taking myself off it because it with work, that sort of stuff, trying to work out, I'm literally doing it at the moment, trying to work out where and why and how I'm better to fish, not the Hawkesbury round that's coming up, Southwest Rocks, which is 3 comps down the track. I'm doing more research for that at the moment because I've never been there. So, it's important to keep those that stuff documented. It's no different to work. You keep it documented, you know where to go and find it, you know how to, then when the day comes, train yourself to remember so that you can adapt to the situation there and then. So, but again, time in the water, it's monumental. It's an absolute necessity. How about you guys?
Yeah, good. With braid, is there a depth of water or a type of bait that when you shouldn't use braid?
Yes. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I've found very recently. So, major factor that I've found, I use as smaller diameter line that I possibly can for 2 major factors. I find myself at the moment fishing a lot of flats, and I find myself at the moment fishing a lot of deep water even though it's summer. That deep water tends to be pretty heavy current. I like to fish a lot of current zones, so that fine line cuts the water heaps better. I don't tend to go straight through for the deeper stuff. I'll tend to go, because the straight through just bows out the stretches too much, especially in a high current. It doesn't cut the water quick enough. So as fine a diameter as I could possibly go is definitely the key.
Use braid in deep water?
I use braid in deep, most definitely. 0.6 or 0.06 I think it is most of the time. Most of my rods now I'm using Evo 8. Evo 8 is pretty much my turn to. I was using J-braid for quite a while. It's a great line, but I just tended to find that the diameter of the 0.6 Evo 8 just tended to cut water a bit better than the J-braid. Yeah, no, because it just grabs the line. You want that lure to sit on the bottom and not move. You want to predict when the movement comes.
So I just thought braid would sink slower. It just take longer to get down.
A lot of braid generally doesn't sink. It'll sit across the surface with the wax film.
But trying to get down.
But trying to get down, when you've got a heavier weight or a heavier lure, it will pull it down nice and smooth, and the line won't get caught from that tide pushing through it.
Thanks, man.
do you guys find yourselves using much straight through for plastics? I've been asked this question quite a lot. What pound line should I use for plastics with straight through? Okay, first and foremost, I don't use any straight through for plastics. Unless that bite is absolutely shut down and it's winter, I don't use straight through for plastics. I tend to find that you miss too many hookups. I'll run probably, it's nearly 25 metres a litre on, and it'll roll onto a spool for like 5 or 6 winds, and it'll still, like, let's say, well, this is, that's a normal crab rod that I've got at the moment. I've got, there's my leader knot there. So I've got a full rod length, and I'll normally have sort of 2 turns back onto the spool with leader. That's actually a little bit short at the moment. So if I find myself, it's really shut down, and I've got to go light, I go down to 3 pound. I generally don't go under 3 pound, but I don't go straight through for plastics. When I'm running hard bodies around structure, I do. So hard bodies generally I do run straight through. I run a 3.5, 4 pound, and that always, I've got so much gear with me all the time that it'll depend on how clear the water is, how fast flowing the current is. It's like a clutch. You've got to have it all there and just be thinking to yourself, can I go a little bit? I'm always finding ways of going heavier, not lighter. I want to be heavier. I want my line to be as heavy as it can be, but I need to be able to do what I need to do with it. So, how about yourself?
With the crabs, I notice a lot of crab, like the liquors tend to sort of dissolve and sort of
they melt.
And I was wondering if it's from the scent that sometimes gets on the crab, or what happens.
So are they in with plastics as well?
Yeah, but they're in the same box, but not in the same section. They're always in together.
Okay.
I have actually put them in, and they've melted the plastic. Everything's sort of gone.
So it depends what container you've got it in, because the petrochemicals that are in the claw could be reacting with the plastic that is on the tackle box. Is it Plano?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't really had that happen with the Plano boxes.
I don't think it's thrown in the water enough.
Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah. Do you? Oh, sorry. So do you mean the legs?
The legs, yeah.
Okay. So I thought you meant the claws, like the foam on the claws.
Well, yeah, but actually it's the foam, all of them. I've had them all go, especially the claws.
Yeah, right. I'll be honest with you, mate. I actually haven't had that happen. If I've got plastics in the box, if I've got Z-Mans in the box with them, yeah, they'll go. Even if the Z-Mans are in the box, they'll go.
The Z-Mans actually...
Yeah, they will just make everything melt. They will make everything melt. Even the fumes from them will make things melt.
So they're gassing off and...
Yeah, especially if they're hot, like in the sun or anything like that, they'll melt, definitely. So that's a fair point, keep them away from your Z-Mans. I don't keep any of my crabs near anything else. I've just got them in I should have brought my crab box with me actually, but it's, I'll just keep it sort of to itself. Yeah. The way that I've got them set up in there, we're actually trying to develop a box so that we can sell it and market it. But yeah, that I have not lost or any, you can flip that thing upside down, shake it, and I've never lost a crab out of it. So that works alright. That's just like Everdeck stuff. It's not too bad. How about you? Yeah.
You were talking before about time. With the young family at home and that, time's limited. I'm working, paying off the mortgage and all that, but I can find time at night. Have you got any tips for fishing lures at night?
Honestly, so bream fishing at night, I haven't got bait yet. I've done a lot of it. Plastics, mate, it's something I want to do. I couldn't tell you. I'm not going to lie to you.
I read an article about hard bodies. I've been trying it, but no results. Got stuff on the surface just after dark.
Yep.
But that's it.
I tend to, look, when I was younger, I tended to find that during night, summertime, things like that, the bream was still active and they chew their heads off, but everything had to stink. Like, you had to have everything stinking, like mullet gut, all that sort of stuff, especially winter. That was something I was going to talk about tonight too, pheromones for winter period. But
so you reckon maybe scents, like on your lure?
Yeah, potentially. Potentially. I don't know that the Bream is so, like, keyed in on what's actually moving around as much at night, because things generally aren't. At night, every single little bit of that bait that's out there is shitting itself even more than the daytime, because it's thinking everything else can see it more, because they do feed at night. They feed a lot more, and the moon phase has a lot to do with that. You've got a full moon, the fisherman's crap, because everything's feeding, because they can see, more things. So potentially full moon might work better at night with plastics. It's not going to work the next day as well, because the full moon period generally doesn't fish as good, but it might at night. I haven't tried it, mate. I don't know. So that's...
Slow as you can. Slow it down. It's like you think about all the bait fishing you do.
Yeah.
Like I said, like editing and that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, your bait's sitting there. You've got something big to swim with.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Something. Waiting.
So that was something I was going to mention tonight too. So I've always tended to find that winter months, like the stinky baits work, and I'd always sort of wondered why. One thing that I've sort of learnt in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, it's not that I learned, it's just the general, I guess, what you call it, appropriation of the fish. Bream spawn in the winter. So the number one thing when spawning happens is pheromones go spastic. That's what makes them, they're all pumping out pheromones. Their smell and their scents are at an all-time peak, which is why I sort of think that those stinkier baits all tended to work better in the summer times. In the winter times. So if you're fishing, and things are slowing right down, first thing I do in the winter is not actually drop line size. It's actually just cake everything in stink. Like, just make it stink. I just tend to find that, sets them off a little bit better. And the only thing I can put it down to is just that pheromone factor of every scent that you buy now, it's pheromone this, pheromone that, pheromone this. One of the best scents that you can have is actually salt, because salt impregnates on the plastic. So if you get a handful of salt and you actually mix it with some of your scents, that makes your scent 5 or 6 times better than just putting it on by itself, because it'll actually impregnate into the plastic. So how, that's one thing I found too. Duros are a perfect example of it. The scent, they come with all salt inside them. I used to tip all that salt out, shake it out and get rid of it all, and I found that, that salt after a while, I just got sick of tipping it out because everywhere, all the time. Now I just put some scent in the actual plastics themselves. I find that the scent rubs in on the plastic, the salt breaks down in the scent, and it actually makes that plastic more pliable. And sometimes you'll find with those Duros, especially, the heads of them split. When you're putting a hidden weight lure in them, they split apart. Have you seen that? 2 things: keep them warm, keep them in the sun. If you put a bit of S factor in with the packet as well, like I put them in a tub, it makes them pliable and they don't split as easy. So that's a good point. And I get a lot of people saying, they split all the time now. They've changed the mould, they're too narrow. That's true. They have changed the mould. They are narrow, but that's how I found I've overcome it. Yeah, who's got a question? Don't be shy, there's got to be something.
I've pressed one thing to add to what you do, and as you were saying before, the tides and essence, and as you were saying, time on the water makes you a better angler. When you do it, I find that the more time you spend on the water, the better feel that you have with it, the better your reaction time is to you have right out of the pump. So Dave and I went down South Coast, and we booked a guide down there for 2 days. So we paid $600 a day for this guide for the tours down there. And one of the things that he taught us, it was overcast, very late in the afternoon, just like it was July. And he said to me, give me your rod. He gave me the rod, and then he said, take this. And I went, what's that? And it was a blade that was covered in S-factor. Like a log. He said, throw it out. We threw it out, just left it sit there by bait fishing, and it just took off. It was just blob after blob. There was no movement, no nothing. We were in lobby of lakes.
What time of year was it?
The winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just in Yeah, they just take off.
If it's S Factor, it's got a lot of pheromone in it. A lot of pheromone. So that was originally designed so that they could put it on antibiotics for fish in farms, and that was what they did with it. They used to put it on the antibiotics so the fish would eat the antibiotic, and that was how it was. That's what I'm told. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's
That was Stuart Hicks.
that was Stuart that did that.
And I brought that back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It definitely works.
yeah, it does.
There's no two ways about it. There's a few other products on the market that are a lot similar to it as well now. I've tended to find a lot of the S Factor is not as potent as it used to be. Like you get those the tubes of it, and it's a lot clearer. I don't tend to find it works as well as some of the old little vessels that you get in the packets. But I'll still use it. I'm not going to lie about that for sure.
Is that the one you use, the S Factor then?
I'll be honest, I actually make a concoction up of it. Like, I use S Factor, I've used some stuff from the States, which is a Mike's shrimp scent. I use ProCure shrimp, I use, what's another one I've got? That's Sax scent.
As well. Is that one any good?
The what, sorry?
Pro-lure plastic?
I've never used it. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But I generally, you know what? To be brutally honest, I get most of the shrimp ones, and I just mix them all together.
Yeah.
I just cake them all together. One of them works. Jam it in there. No, that's the honest truth. You know, like I just mix them all together, and sometimes I put some glitter in with them as well. You used to get the glitter on the what do you call it?
Velvets.
Yeah. You come back, what were you using? Oh, I was using squidgies, and you've got glitter all over their face. What? You know, so yeah, it's I put a bit of glitter in there. You just get the glitter from the what's your supply? I buy a lot of shit off eBay. I just got packs of glitter and reds and blues and purples. Tend to find the blacks like the red. The Gold Coast fish like gold. Fish around here, blues. Tend to find your bait fish and just, like, that's a big thing. Steezy taught me this. Every time I go fishing at the end of the day, I put as many fish as I can in my live well. Not on pre-fish day, I don't do it then, but when I'm just fishing normally, I put them in the live well, I'll sit in there all day. And that's mainly so I can chuck them out at the end of the day, vacuum out my live well, and see what they've been eating. I go through it, I just check everything, and I take a photo of that too, and that gets documented. So, you know, little things like that, man. Does it do anything? Might tell me that they're eating more sand crab than, you know, another type of crab. There's more, you know, it's just colour thing. Could be one little bit of bait in there that might have a blue line down the side. It happened in Tassie. The bait that was coming in, there was so much bait down there. But the bait itself, the major factor that was different with it was it either had a green line on it or a blue line on it. So as soon as you got a lure, pretty much any lure that you had that had a green line or a blue line on it, it'd get smacked. So, you know, little things like that. Pop something, a little bit of bait that I found in the live well after the comp. I went, I'll try that tomorrow. And it would work, it wouldn't work, you know. But who knows? You got to stay focused on what little items can definitely give you that 1% extra, you know, that can work for you. One thing I was gonna, when you said you were talking about going fishing with a man that fishes a lot on the water all the time, you know, staying focused while you're on the water is probably one of the major factors that I think a lot of guys lack. And that actually, my theory is that creates the difference between an angler and a really good angler. So a lot of the time, if you're watching Morgo's live feed, Hickson's live feed, any of the guys, when you're actually really watching them, their concentration levels on that line and on that rod the entire time is just, it's insane. So when I'm on the water, one of the ways, you probably think I'm a bit of a mental case, I don't know, but what I do when I'm fishing is to stay connected. The entire time you're fishing, you need to be focused on the lure. Even though the lure might be in 10-15 feet of muddy water, you can't see it, but you've got to imagine it. The entire time I'm focused on the lure while I'm casting, I've got my rod out, I picture myself in a room, I'm not paying attention to anything else, I'm watching the line on the water, but it's almost like meditation. I just picture myself in a room, watch that line, and the entire time I'm imagining a fish watching my lure the entire time. So instantly my mindset is anticipation straight away. I'm anticipating a bite every second of every cast, the whole time. That then, if you do get a bite, you're already connected to it. It's got to be instant. You have to be, straight onto it. Bream are very different to a lot of other fish, like black fishing and, bass in the States, for examples. You want to wait 3 seconds, then set the hook, all that sort of crap. Bream are very different to that. If you've got that clunk, smack it in on as hard and fast as you can, because they're arse-holding straight away. That's the way I see it anyway. If they haven't, if they're doing that little, like black bream do, they'll do the little doodle. If you've cottoned on to them doing a little doodle first, that other bite is coming straight after it. So they've actually just given you the telltale that they're going to hit it. So, but the entire time I'm fishing, I literally do. I almost meditate the entire time. It's quite boring fishing with me a lot of the time, unless I've already got my bag and I'm happy. But to get that bag, I just focus the entire time. I'm just watching that line the entire time. I can't emphasise enough just how much you really do miss bites if you're fishing with your mate, having a good time, he's talking, but oh shit, that was a bite. It happens, doesn't it? That's why I reckon kayakers actually have a lot more success in a lot of instances, because you're focused the whole time. The only person that's disturbing you is you. So,
guy that's dropping in.
Or someone that's dropping in, or little bits and pieces. But it's a definite factor. The more you actually really do start to just zone in on it, and like I say, it sounds mental, but if you picture yourself in a room and you're watching a lure and the fish is following your lure the entire time, and then bang, you hit it. That anticipation gets you ready for it. So that's what I tend to find is a big difference.
With the Bream tournament scene, how do you approach which colours to use on the day?
Where and when.
And where and when, and how often do you change them? Like if something's not working, do you go from pure soft plastic, or do you change the colours? And what's the decision process that you go through to make the choices?
So for myself, I always generally go for as natural, the most natural possible colour I can go for there and then. Yeah, unless you use them. No, I generally do go as natural a colour as I can possibly go. The murkier it is, then I will start to go more motor oil, or I'll start to go more UV. For me, black has been a lure that I generally find a little bit more murky, or diving it through weed and that sort of thing. Black, so I probably don't throw enough, but that's generally I don't go yellows, I don't go reds, I don't go like bright blues. I generally just try and keep everything. I don't go golds. I don't run, unless I'm fishing blacks or something like that. But I've never tended to find that. Yeah, maybe you might fluke it. Someone will go, oh, I was using gold. And another bloke at the comp will go, oh, I was using gold too, Oh, and all of a sudden everyone's buying gold. That, to me, I don't know. Maybe you just got on the fish, but you're like, fuck. They're going to eat anything. Like, what do? I just generally stick to the most natural presentation that I possibly can, which is why Duros have been, such a dominant lure over the years. That green colour, when you actually see it in the water compared to bait fish, it's so much like that. Like when you see a bait fish in your hand, a lot of them, like mullet even, the tops of them are almost like a greeny grey sort of a colour. So yeah, I just generally try and match that. I've got a theory as well on the Z-Mans as to why they actually work as well. So fishing cockles, I used to fish a lot of cockles when I was younger. When you split open cockles, you see the tongue on them, and they're almost that orangey sort of a colour. Have you ever put a UV light on it?
Change it at night time as well when you fish with the moon hits, it goes that sort of orange, greeny
So that, yeah, if you hit them with a UV light, they actually glow up, same sort of colour, similar sort of colour. Some of them do, some of them don't. I don't know whether it's time of year.
I find that as well. So yours fishing at night time, I only use the UV Z-mares.
Yeah, right.
Only the ones that light up.
Yeah, okay.
It's the different ones that do different colours as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
I only use it.
I really don't know how fish see the UV. Like, the UV obviously works. Some things, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but there's something there. Anybody that says they know exactly what it is, I reckon they're full of it. Like,
With the colours of lures, everyone asks will have a different favourite colour that works for them.
yeah,
There's one thing they all have in common, a bloke is using his confidence colour.
yeah,
So it doesn't matter what you throw,
yeah,
as long as you think it's going to work. You'll get lures that will sit in your tackle box for ages and get all the paint and shoot off. They'll just get a grotty white looking thing,
yeah,
and it'll still work. There's something about that lure that the fish want.
yep.
What it is, as soon as we can do that, then it goes out of business. It's like one lure.
9 times out of 10, the thing that they actually, like, you're turning on to is the simple fact that you've got it in front of them and you're chucking it all the time. You're throwing it, you've got that lure in the water, keep it in the water. So it works, you know. So, yeah, I just...
So how persistent are you with that one lure? Like if you're throwing that plastic, you're like, this is the one I'm going to use?
Depends where I'm
fishing a boat hull.
If I'm fishing a boat hull...
How long do you stay on that boat hull and how long on that lure?
I have one cast.
One cast on the boat hull?
If I haven't got it in that one cast, it's got to be a good cast. If I haven't got a fish revving up on a wharf, a boat, or some kind of structure, depends on the size of it.
Yeah.
But I generally I approach it. So it's very important when say you're coming up to a boat or a pontoon, you've got to get a perfect cast. Now, your aim with your casting, it's paramount. It's paramount. You see the guys that do well. Steersey's a perfect example. That guy's won numerous, casting competitions. He can cast. He can put it in a bucket. The bloody door down there. You can put it in that. So when you're coming up to a wharf or a pontoon or something like that, learning how to cast correctly, that's important. Learning up your boat position, how to set yourself up. Don't burn it. Don't waste it. You could have a shit cast at it and spook, a little bit out wide, or your line could lay over a little bit differently so that you can actually spook those fish. So it's very important to approach it not too quick, get that perfect cast in, hit it, give it time, and then bring it in, move it, go to the next one. If I haven't got it on that right perfect cast, which you learn over time, you come up to a pontoon, you want a little bit of a shady side. You might have noticed on pre-fish, and that's what pre-fish is for. They're sitting on the back edge, they're sitting on the front edge, that sort of thing. If you're sort of finding them here, there, or whatever, that's how you're approaching that pontoon or that boat. So in the Oz Open, perfect example, I fished boat hulls quite a bit to fill my bag, especially on the third day. I was doing long straight casts past the boats and bringing them straight away in along it. I was so confident in the lure that it was actually working at the time. I was only doing one pass past that boat. If I didn't get a hit on it, I'd move on to the next one. But I was covering heaps of boats, and that's the key to it. It's not staying on that one boat. Oh, I've caught a big fish here before. You're in this, 100 boats, so
fishing.
Yeah, fish fast, as many as you can. But I can do that because I've got the confidence in that one lure that's working at that time. I know that line is the right line. I understand it's a very hard thing for me. That's why I said to you, I can't give you the silver bullet. It doesn't actually work that way. You can't just go, Cromer said go and try this, go and do it. It is a factor that you have to learn over a period of time, and your memory is the biggest factor that's going to help you. I've got a crap memory. That's why I document all this stuff so heavily, because I can't remember it. People like Cam Whittam, he can tell you what you were wearing at a tournament 3 years ago when you weighed 3.2 kilo on the second day, and you're sitting there, you're going, how am I going to compete against that? How are you going to compete against that? It's one of those things, It's a true statement, So if you can remember the stuff, then you're far better off. You're far better off. Any questions? Is there any?
Just doing boat hulls. I've never done it before.
Yep.
When you cast against the boat hull, say plastics, you need to let it sink to the bottom, blah, blah.
Yep.
Is that what you do when you're fishing both holes? Or the fish you're aiming is that fish that is
sitting and chewing on the boat hole?
So
yeah,
that's what I was.
So for me, there's two factors that come into it: whether it's warm or whether it's cold. So a lot of the time, when it's cold, I'm fishing deep under the boat hole. I'm not actually fishing the boat hole. I'm fishing the shadow underneath it, because the fish will tend to be sulking a little bit more. They'll sit in that shadow. So you might run, a crab. I generally don't throw plastics at boat holes too much anymore, unless I tend to find I'll have a prospector and just chuck one in there and it works. But the way I generally fish boat holes now during the summer months, the hard bodies. I tend to find that a silent hard body with straight through just tends to liven up the bigger one. Not necessarily the smaller one, but that bigger fish will be sitting there and they're eating bait. They're eating little fish, so they'll tend to come out and away from that boat hole a little bit more and feed a little bit better. The straight through is important with it, not so much for anything other than they don't see it. You'll cast straight the way down along past the boat hole and bring it back past it, and there's just no time when they see anything move. You don't want them to be focusing on anything other than that lure. So the straight through I tend to find just works a little bit better. Small tiny little hooks like that too, the straight through helps you fight the fish as well. You can't steer them, you can't turn them as much. If that thing wants to rape you, it's going to. But at the end of the day, it's one of those factors. If someone gives you a shove, you're going to sort of push back a bit. But if they just grab you and pull you gently, you're just going to sort of, you just tend to see people just sort of lean away with it, And you're not going to just, like a fish tank.
The elasticity of the line helps.
Yeah.
Chew ease on.
Yeah, and it just gives you that bit more shock absorption for those small hooks, so you don't pull hooks so easily. I've voiced it before. I was using, it's a similar sort of thing with the crab rod too. I was using a lot heavier crab rod. That's one of the crab rods that I've got at the moment. I've got that set up because I've been fishing the Hawkesbury. For me now, it's probably too stiff. That's a 2 to 4 kilo rod. I don't know if you want to pass it around and have a look. That's generally what I'll fish in heavy structure, tight to walls. Now, I only really use those for 65 crabs now because I don't pull hooks. If I was previously, I was going through tournaments, it was doing my head in. I was constantly finding the fish that would win the comp every time, but I would just get smoked or I'd pull hooks on them. And I was fishing heavier rods, constantly fishing heavier rods, and those small hooks on the 50mm crabs, I'd just pull hooks on them, or it didn't work. It wasn't working. So now I've gone down to a lighter rod, it doesn't feel like a huge amount of difference, but it actually does. So if you've felt that one, that's now what I use with 50mm crabs. It's a softer rod. It's much more forgiving on the hooks because the hooks are so small. I tend to find that on a 65mm, got no dramas, much more solid hook. I actually tend to find that I'm throwing a lot more 65mm crabs now because of the fact I've got spots, I know where to go, I know there's probably going to be a bigger fish in there, and I've got more chance of getting it in the boat with a 65mm crab than a 50mm crab. Are they going to get as many bites? No, they're not. The 50mm crab will definitely get more bites. So for your learning on where you're going to fish, I'll throw 50mm crabs, say, on pre-fish day to find fish. But once I've found them, there's no way I'm throwing a 50 in there again. I'm going 60 bites. They just tend to hook up so much better.
So is that a 1 to 3 then?
That one's a 1 to 3, yeah. The one with that's a 2 to 4. Yep. So they're one piece. The 2-piece rods in them, you realistically, unless you pull it apart on yourself, you wouldn't know the difference. The 1-piece and the 2-piece are pretty close in comparison now. I generally go a 1-piece rod only because I don't pay attention sometimes and I'll cast the tip off. When you got so many rods floating around. Like, that's my flats rod. That one there is actually a 2-piece rod, and I've left it as a 2-piece, even though a lot of the time when I had 2-piece rods, I used to just arrow dye them together and just keep them as a 1-piece. I've been travelling a bit, so I keep the 2-piece now and I can separate them and take them away. That's a 7'3", if you want to pass that around. That's what I'm casting now as a flats rod. I've got 5 of those on the boat. I tend to find that is just perfect for flats. It's still reasonably stiff. AGS guides make a huge amount of sensitivity difference. It's a pity that they're not doing more AGS guided rods. You get a chance to play around with some AGS. It's a huge difference in sensitivity. The weight in the rod drops the weight a bit, but sometimes you actually want the weight in the guides as well because it helps balance out the reel. But yeah, I love those AGS things. And honestly, you could give me 100 miller rods, I'd still take that rod over anything for flats fishing at the moment. I just, you know.
Do you use a lot of rods purely for flats, or do you still use them in structure? I find that they both.
No, so I've got a flats rod and I've got a structure rod. Two very different things for me. I tend to find, for me, casting the distance on the flats is the most important factor. So 7'3", you're going to get that cast.
Yeah.
A 7'8" rod, yeah, you could probably do it, but are you going to cast it all day? I don't know. I'm yet to use anything over a 7.6. I used cyborgs for quite a while, sitting in the 7.6. They were a good rod. They weren't too bad. They had a tendency to make even small fish feel a lot bigger than they actually were because yeah, they do. They do. I mean, you can. Cheers, mate. You can definitely cast them a lot further, but I just tend to find that. Do I really need that extra bit? I've sort of taught myself how to cast correctly now and I don't really need it too much. I also use that rod now. You see that's on, I've got straight through on that. So I've started using those flats rods not only for flats now, I've started using them for hard bodies straight through crank and boat holes because I can steer fish a bit better. You know, when you're coming up to a boat hole, you want to get that perfect cast, but at the same time, my boat might be a metre to one side and I want to get it right in there. That little bit extra length is going to help you do that. It's still a pretty stiff rod. You notice a lot of guys using a supple rod for straight through. I don't. I go a stiffer rod because you've already got so much stretch in the line. You need it in the rod. You can release, but you can't tighten with a soft rod, if that makes sense there. So that's those. This one, I thought I'd bring that in because it'd sort of show how brutal a lot of guys are going now with the racks. That's what I use in the racks. I think that one's a 4 to 9 kilo. That's pretty much what I took up to fish for barra. That's a light barra rod, a bloody light barra rod I'd probably say, but that's what I fish in the racks. 3,000 reel. It's got 15-pound line on it and a 15-pound main, which is probably equivalent to about 20-pound really. It's pretty small diameter for a 15-pound, and I think it's got about 20-pound leader on it. That's the chalk and cheese of, you hear guys saying that they use a heavy rod in the racks. I didn't believe it too much. I was like, yeah, so I've actually even got a swamp donkey that's heavier than that. It's a 6'4", and you can lift rack trays up with it if you've got the right line on it. So it's, yeah. In Foster, when had one of the comps up there, we were literally poling fish in that hard. I was with Sean Egan, he can attest to this. I poled the fish in that fast. It was a kilo fish. It was going over the other side. I slapped it down into the boat with my other hand without the net, like just slapping it into the bloody bottom of the boat. So, but that's the racks,
The drag?
Yeah, there's no drag on it. You'll cut your hand, you'll snap, you're not going to snap the line, you'll cut the crap out of your hand before you pull drag on. So, yeah, it's something different.
So the fish in the racks, not as skittish?
Yeah,
they tend to shy away from using that heavier line when I'm normally fishing the Bream.
Yeah, look,
Are they just
the difference? No, they do. They do. Once they've seen you, you've pretty much done your dash. The better fish anyway. The guys are casting long distances, even with a rod like that. That's hence the eyelet's so large. you've got to get that long cast out. Now,
Still long leaders as well.
well, no, you can't. Because you're going like with an FG knot, you're going a 20-pound line. Sometimes I'll only run like a rod length, if that. You pretty much can't run your leader knot back onto your reel seat. If it runs back onto there from your cast distance from the lure off the tip, you're going to have troubles. Yeah, you're going to have troubles. If I'm fishing racks, I generally try and find dirty water, just so I can be confident in the fact that I don't have to worry about, you know, the clarity of it and the fish seeing everything going on. I've got the upper hand a bit more then. But yeah, my rack fishing, to be brutally honest, like I'm still a bit of a novice at it, to be honest, compared to some of the guys like Hicks and Barbecue, and those guys have been doing it all, you know, all their lives since they were kids. They're a lot more confident. I think some of them go a little bit softer rod, but I know they're still using 3,000 size reels because you get that crank power.
How do you approach the rats as you're coming in?
It depends what sort of set. I'm always worried about my boat, so I generally, that's my downside going into the racks. Those guys have got it over me hand and fist because they don't give a stuff about their boat. They'll just go in there and bash into it. But I always try and, if I'm fishing a plastic or a crab, I try and fish. Yeah, you do. It just sort of depends on the trays. So a lot of racks that I've been fishing recently, I tend to like the floating trays and the floating that have got like the foam on them. A lot of guys don't like that, especially traditional rack fishermen. I hate that shit. They can't stand it. I tend to fish those at the surface, whether it be winter or summer, and just try and...
In between them, obviously.
As close as I can fishing along them, yeah. And I'm always trying to do like run long skips, like, you know, skipping it a long way.
Burn it for a bit.
Yeah, especially along those. When I'm fishing trays, and it depends again too how current is coming around trays. I love it when you've got trays and you can land it on top of the tray. If you pull the crab back, the crabs actually fall in under the tray. So yeah, if you can get that right, as soon as it lands, get it on top of the tray, then you can pull it back to yourself, just so you don't have to worry about your cast so much. You can actually land it over that side, skip it back to it, and then it'll just go back in that way. So yeah, there's heaps of different ways of casting them, but yeah, you're casting. I can't emphasise enough how important it is to be able to cast accurately. It really is the difference between, you know, the guys that are at the top. You watch Canizaro and that's why he uses crabby so much, because you can skip cast in, and when you skip casting, it's much more forgiving than having to plonk it on like a crab. You know, like coming up to a pontoon or a bit of structure or something like that. I think my advantage that I have over a lot of other guys that I'm competing against is you don't want to be fat-headed about it, but I can cast a long cast, a high cast, and drop it accurately at a mass distance. I'll outcast most people coming up to pontoons. Perfect example was fishing pontoons up the Gold Coast. I'd be at this pontoon and I'd be fishing the next one. And, you know, it was hard from a non-boater because he, you know, I felt sorry for him, but, you know, what do? Like, that's how I fish it. I'll be at this one and I'm getting that long shot cast in, but it's accurate. Even if I'm landing on top of it, just drag it off the edge of it.
So being able to get to cast to the spot you want to fish before you even get to it.
Confidence in the fact that the fish is there, not having to see it. Yeah. Don't worry about seeing it. My mindset is once I've seen it, I'm done. I'll move on to the next thing. Yeah, I'll have confidence in the fact that one was there, it's on that next tree, or it's on that next pontoon, it's on that next boat, or something like that.
With the casting, what distance would you sort of class as like a miscast, like if it's too far out? Like, say you're fishing pontoons or boat holes,
yep.
How close do I have to get to it? So if I'm 3 foot out, are the fish going to sort of come out to it, or?
3 foot's probably a bit much. I generally, it's a catch-22 because you want to try and, like, say I'm coming up to a pontoon, sometimes, and it depends how skittish your fish are. Depends how clear it is, depends if it's, you know, murky or whatnot. So sometimes it's a good thing to land it, you know, a little bit wide. If they're really on, I'm not trying to get it too close at all, because once the fish hits it, I've got less chance of getting him out. So if they're really on, yeah, I'll come out maybe a metre from it and just trust the fact that they're on anyway. They're going to find it.
With the approach to it, how far do you sit out from something like a boat hole or
as far as I can cast, that's how far I sit out of it. So a lot of, like a crab, in all honesty, on that 0.6, I could probably shoot that door from here on a cast with a crab. That's how far I'll try and stay from things if I can. If you've got wind and wind is a nightmare to you and it's blowing across, you can't do that. But if I'm coming up to something and I'm fishing, I'm literally trying to get it out there as far as I can. That's when I feel most comfortable and most confident.
What, the front door?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Jesus. Can you call out the demo?
One more question. Who's got a question?
Surface look. What's your favourite colour and
at the moment, turn 2 is probably still bents. In saying that though, I haven't had as much success with bents as I have with old Sammies. Sammies still you can cast a Sammy nearly twice as far as you can cast as a bent minnow. So you'll get good reaction from fish, but if they're not on the surface walker, then the bent works. You know, the bent's going to work for you. But okay, so I'll probably say bent. If I had to pick one, I'd pick the bent with the green back and the light pink belly. I think you caught a fish on one the other day and had a photo. Same one. There's no secret behind that. It's a natural looking colour. It just does everything natural. I just tend to find the key with the bents is just skipping them back a long way, fast. I burn them real quick and then just stop. Because I try and make them look like a garfish. That's my idea. That's the biggest thing I think it looks like, and that's the biggest bit of bait that I know big fish eat. But I've gone for the stage now where I'm not really chasing numbers too much. I'm just chasing those bigger fish. But it's a detriment to you because you're either going to win or lose, and when you lose spastically. So yeah. But look, guys, I hope that's sort of covered a few questions. Probably one point though. I know you guys probably all want to know what's the best technique with the crabs. I think at the moment my crab fishing has done a bit of a full cycle. So I first started out fishing crabs a year